Hello, welcome to Atheist Torah Study. My name is Emma, and I am the host. And today we're going to be discussing Parsha Naso. Atheist Torah Study is my year-long exploration of the Torah from the perspective of an atheist Jew. I discuss the Torah from my understanding, both as somebody who's spent many years studying and learning Torah in a synagogue, along with my own unique perspective as an atheist, which comes from 35 years of lived experience as an atheist. I attempt to look at the text each week with a fresh eye, without trying to um, put any kind of an ideological framework on the text, other than whatever is reflective of my own understanding. So today's Parsha Naso, it covers the ritual of the Naso. It also covers the ritual of the Nazir, and it has the priestly blessings in it, and it describes the gifts that the 12 tribes bring to the Mishkan. And it also lays out the roles that different people will play in the taking care of the Mishkan. So that's in a nutshell what the Parsha is about. Um, it's the second Parsha in the book of Numbers, and the book of Numbers is the fourth book in the Torah. It's also the fourth book in the Old Testament. It's the longest book in the Torah. No, it's the longest Parsha in the Torah, Naso. And let's see, it's in the wilderness. And basically, the way that the story goes, if you can call it a story, if you can actually follow it as a story, the way that the story goes is that the Israelite people have been in the desert for about 1 year now. And in the storyline, they're kind of getting ready right now to take their journey to the land that they think they're going to. So it's still basically year one, even though the Torah's more than, it's almost two-thirds over with by now. Really, it's almost three-fourths over with. So um even though we're way into the Torah, almost kind of getting near the end of the Torah, not quite at the end, but we're still in just year one of the Exodus from Egypt. So that's kind of where we are in the story. So why don't I just go ahead and read, and then I'll do commenting as we go along. So, a couple of things I want you to think about as we're going through the text today. Um, well, when we get to them, I'll bring them up. So here goes. Ooh, sorry, it's late. God spoke to Moses and said, or no, just God spoke to Moses. Take a census of the Gershonites, also by their ancestry house and by their clans. Record them from the age of 30 years up to the age of 50, all who are subject to service and performance of tasks for the tent of meeting. These are the duties of the Gershonite clans as to labor and porterage. They shall carry the tablecloths of the tabernacle, the tent of meeting with its covering, the covering of dolphin skins that is on top of it, and the screen for the entrance of the meeting. the hangings of the enclosure, the screen at the entrance of the gate of the enclosure that surrounds the tabernacle, the cords thereof, and from the altar all their service equipment and all their accessories, and they shall perform the service. All the duties of the Gershonites, all their porterage, and all their civic service, all their service shall be performed on orders from Aaron and his sons. You shall make them responsible for attending to all their porterage. These are the duties of the Gershonite clans for the tent of meeting. They shall attend them under the direction of Ithamar, son of Aaron the priest. So it goes on. It talks about the Merarites, and their job is to take care of the planks, the posts, and the sockets, the pegs, the cords. That's the Merarite. And then there's the Kohathite clan, and their job is oh, that doesn't say. Oh, well, it doesn't really say what they do. Okay, well, let's keep on going. The Levites, well, we know what the Levites do. They're priests. And let's see. Oh, that's it. Huh. Okay. So in the Numbers chapter 4, it doesn't mention all of the tribes. It just mentions these four clans. And then it kind of says what their job is. Huh. Okay, well, what's going on here? No, let's read some more. Then we'll come back to this. Okay, Numbers chapter 5. God spoke to Moses, saying, instruct the Israelites to remove from camp anyone with a corruption or a discharge, and anyone defiled by a corpse. Remove male and female alike, put them outside the camp, so they do not defile the camp of those in whose midst I dwell. Okay. God spoke. Oh, here we go. Here's the Sotah ritual. Okay. This is where we're going to kind of start commenting. So, this is the Sotah ritual. And the first time I ever heard this, I thought, what the fuck is this? This is insane. I still kind of think that. I really kind of do. Anyways, and I'm not sure why it's in the Torah. I don't really know what this whole Parsha, why it's in the Torah. I mean, I've read a lot of reasons for why it's here, and I've read a lot of stories about, well, more than that. But anyways, let's just look at this. All right, here's the Sotah ritual. Speak to the Israelites. When a man or a woman has committed any wrong toward a fellow, oh, this isn't it. Okay, this is about what to do if you say something wrong. When a man or woman has committed any wrong toward a fellow human being, thus breaking faith with God, and they have realized their guilt. They shall confess the wrong that they have done. They shall make restitution and the principal amount and add 1/5 to it, giving it to the one who was wronged. If that party is deceased and has no kin, to whom restitution can be made, the amount repaid shall go to God for the priest, in addition to the ram of expiation, with which expiation is made on, on their behalf. So, too, any gift among the sacred donations that the Israelites offer shall be the priest's, and each shall retain his sacred donations till, oops, sorry. And each shall retain his sacred donations. Each shall keep what is given to him. So that wasn't Sotah. That was if somebody did something wrong. So that's that's kind of interesting. So that's sort of like a moral set of instructions. And it includes the concept of restitution. Okay, let's do. Okay, here we go. Here's Sotah. So first there was that issue about breaking faith with God. I don't really know exactly what they did wrong though here. Yeah, it doesn't really say what they did wrong. Okay. Well, I think it actually says they said something wrong. When a man or a woman has committed any wrong toward a fellow human being. Well, it doesn't say what they did wrong. It's kind of a catch-all. Okay. Well, let's move on. Oh, because I really want to get to Sotah. All right. God spoke to Moses. Speak to the Israelite people and say to them, regarding anyone whose wife has gone astray and broken faith with him, and another man that has had carnal relations with her, unbeknown to her husband, and she has kept secret the fact that she defiled herself without being forced, and there is no witness against her. But a fit of jealousy has come over him, and he is wrought up about the wife who has defiled herself. Or if a fit of jealousy has come over him, and he is wrought up about his wife, although she has not defiled herself, the man shall bring his wife to the priest, and he shall bring as an offering for her 1/10 of an ephod or barley flour. No oil shall be poured upon it, and so frankincense shall be laid out on it, for it is a grain offering. Okay, let's read that again. The man shall bring his wife to the priest. He shall bring an offering for her of 1/10 of an ephah of barley flour. No oil shall be poured upon it, and no frankincense shall be laid on it, for it is a grain offering, an offering of jealousy, a grain offering of remembrance that recalls wrongdoing. The priest shall bring her forward and have her stand before God. The priest shall take sacred water in an earthen vessel, and taking some of the earth that is on the floor of the tabernacle, The priest shall put it into the water. After he has made the woman stand before God, the priest shall bear the woman's head and place upon her hands the grain offering of remembrance, which is a grain offering of jealousy. And the priest's hand shall be the water of bitterness that induces the spell. The priest shall adjure the woman, saying to her, if no one else has laid with you, if you have not gone astray in defilement of your husband, be immune from the harm this water of bitterness that induces a split, that induces the spell. Sorry, I'm tired. But if you have gone astray while committed to your husband and have defiled yourself, if anyone other than your husband has had carnal relations with you, unless it, well, never mind. Here the priest shall administer the curse of adjuration to the woman, as the priest goes on to say to the woman, may God make you a curse and an imprecation among your people. God causes your thigh to sag and your belly to distend. May this water that induces the spell enter your body, causing the belly to distend and the thigh to sag. And the woman shall say, Amen, Amen. The priest shall put these curses down in writing and rub it into the water of bitterness. So that's that. So we're going to read one more, and then we're going to do some commentary. There's just a little bit more too. He is to make the woman drink the water of bitterness that induces the spell, so that the spell inducing water may enter into her to bring on bitterness. The priest shall take from the woman's hand the grain offering of jealousy, elevate the grain offering before God, and present it on the altar. The priest shall scoop out all of the grain offering, offering a token part of it, and turn it into smoke on the altar. Last, he shall make the woman drink the water. Once he has made her drink the water, if she has defiled herself by breaking faith with her husband, the spell-inducing water shall enter into her to bring on bitterness, so that her belly shall distend and her thigh shall sag. But if the woman has not defiled herself and is pure, she shall be unharmed and able to retain seed. This is the ritual in the cases of jealousy. When a woman goes astray while her husband in her husband's household and defiles herself, or when a man overtaken by a fit of jealousy is wrought up over his wife, the woman shall be made to stand before God, and the priest shall carry out this ritual with her. The man shall be clear of guilt, but the woman shall suffer for her guilt. Okay, I'm going to take a little break. I'll be right back. Okay, there's one more section I want to read before I start commenting on this from an atheist perspective. And that is the Nazir. So this is about taking a vow. Speak to the Israelites and say to them, if any man or woman explicitly utters a Nazirite vow to set themselves apart for God, they shall abstain from wine and any other intoxicant. They shall not drink vinegar of wine or of any other intoxicant. Neither shall they drink anything in which grapes have been steeped, nor eat grapes, fresh or dried. Throughout their term as a Nazirite, they may not eat anything that is obtained from the grapevine, even seeds or skin. Throughout the term of their vow as Nazirite, no razor shall touch their head, and shall remain consecrated until the completion of their term as Nazirite. Throughout the term that they have set apart for God, they shall not go in where there is a dead person. Even if their father or mother or their brother or sister should die, they must not become defiled for any of them, since hair set apart for their God is upon their head. Throughout their term as a Nazirite, they are consecrated to God. If someone dies suddenly defiling a Nazirite's consecrated hair, they shall shave their head at the time of becoming pure, shaving it on the seventh day. On the eighth day, they shall bring two turtle doves or two pigeons to the priest at the entrance of meeting. The priest shall offer as a purgation offering, and the other as a burnt offering, and make expiation for guilt incurred through a corpse. That same day, their head shall be reconsecrated, and they shall rededicate to God their term as a Nazirite, bringing a lamb in first year as a penalty offering. The previous period shall be void, since the hair was defiled. This is the ritual for the Nazirite. On the day that a term as a Nazirite is completed, they shall be brought to the entrance of the tent of meeting. Well, there's more. The priest shall present these before God and offer the purgation offering and the burnt offering. He shall offer the ram as a sacrifice of well being to God with the basket of unleavened cakes. The priest shall also offer a grain offering and libations. The Nazarites shall save their consecrated hair at the entrance of the tents of meeting, take those locks of consecrated hair, put them on the fire that is under the sacrifice of well being. The priest shall take the shoulder of the ram where it has been boiled, one unleavened cake, one unleavened wafer, put them on the hands of the Nazarite after the hair has been shaved. The priest shall elevate them as an elevation offering before God. This shall be a sacred donation for the priest. After that, the Nazarite may drink wine. Such is the obligation of the Nazarite, except those who vow an offering to God of what they can afford beyond the Nazarite requirements must do exactly according to the vow that they have made beyond their obligation as Nazarites. Oh, it just goes on. Okay, that's all I can read in the Nazarites. All right, so what does this have to do with anything? So there's more, but I'm going to stop there because my head's like going to explode. So that's the ritual of the Nazir, the ritual of the Sotah. Um, there's the thing about what to do if you hurt someone. And then there's the, what does it start with? It starts with the different clans. Boy, it's a weird book, isn't it? So, the book of Numbers was written, well, I don't really know when it was written. I've already talked enough about the Hasmoneans, so I don't really need to talk about that. So, the ritual of the Sotah, from an atheist perspective, here's what I think. The ritual of the Sotah represents something that in evolution is called concealed ovulation. Um, so concealed ovulation, also called hidden estrus. In many mammals, females display the obvious sign of when they're fertile. Humans are unusual because ovulation is relatively difficult to detect. A woman's peak fertility is not obvious to potential mates, which is why the phenomena is called concealed obligation. Evolutionary theories suggest that concealed ovulation may have encouraged longer term pair bonding, increased male investment in offspring, reduced mate guarding around specific fertile periods, or promoted more continuous sexual activity throughout the menstrual cycle. So, um, the Sotah ritual deals with a husband who suspects his wife of adultery but lacks evidence. The woman undergoes a ritual administered by the priest. Divine intervention is supposed to reveal guilt or innocence. Um, because humans have concealed ovulation and internal fertilization, a man can never be absolutely certain that a child is biologically his, the way that a woman can be certain she gave birth to a child. This has led many societies to develop norms, laws, and rituals aimed at controlling female sexuality or establishing paternity. So, this could be a response to male anxiety about sexual exclusion and paternity. It's also an attempt to resolve suspicion when there are no witnesses. And this could be a mechanism for restoring social order within marriage or the family. Um, Traditional Jewish commentaries do not discuss concealed ovulation. Instead, they focus on marital trust, divine justice, and the seriousness of adultery. So, from a feminist perspective, many scholars have noted the ritual is one sided. There is no equivalent ordeal for the husband who's suspected of infidelity. This is because this is a patriarchal text in which women's sexuality was heavily regulated because inheritance and lineage passed through men. So that's that. I found some examples of other places in the Torah where there's kind of this obsession with male paternity and a similar desire to control female reproduction. There's the Sotah ritual itself that we just looked at. There's the 10th commandment, which is against coveting somebody else's wife. Um, there's the penalty for adultery in Deuteronomy. There's also, oh yeah, this is a good one. Okay. Deuteronomy 22:13 describes a husband who marries a woman and then claims that he discovered she was not a virgin. The woman's parents are expected to produce evidence of her virginity. If it is false, the husband is punished. So this is kind of similar to Sotah, actually, but it's still dealing with the husband. And then there's Judah and Tamar. That's a really famous one. There's Potiphar and Potiphar's wife, I mean, and Joseph. That's another very common one too. And then finally, there's Reuben and Bilhah. So these are some examples in the Torah of other places where there's this kind of obsession with paternity. Um, so this does come up a lot in the Torah. Sexual activity, which is often private, has social consequences in the Torah. Pregnancy, inheritance, lineage, and family honor, these are all public. The Sotah is unique because it specifically addresses a situation where there is suspicion without evidence. Most other Torah things require evidence. So this stands out. It's a psychological passage. So that is the laws of the Sotah and an evolutionary sort of exploration. So, for a little bit of fun, I decided to try to find 10 country music songs that that are similar to the Sotah ritual to help kind of understand why this, just to really just to have a little humor in the conversation, since this is very strange. This is all very strange to be talking about this. So, my number one favorite was Goodbye Earl from the Dixie Chicks. I don't know if you've ever heard that one, Goodbye Earl. Of course, there's Hank Williams, Your Cheating Heart. So that's a good one. Very much like Sotah. Martina McBride's Independence Day. So that's another one. It's very much about Sotah. Kenny Rogers, Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town. Um, it's a good one. And then let's see. Oh, Shania Twain, Whose Bed Have Your Boots Been Under? Um, the and also Carrie Underwood, Before He Cheats. So, as you can see, this is a theme that this is actually a theme that appears quite a bit in country music. So, what's an atheist takeaway on all of this nonsense I've been reading tonight? Um, you know, the okay, so the ritual and the ritual and the soda ritual, the concoction is supposed to have the name of God in it. So when the woman drinks this weird thing made of dirt, there's it's supposed to have God's name in it. And so the woman is drinking God. Sound familiar? Christians? She's drinking God, anyways. And it's the English is kind of strange. Like it says that her thigh sags and her belly distends, but what it basically means is that she's going to die. So if this is if she's lying and it's true that this happened, then she's going to die. So I mean, this is about a jealous man who can't control himself and is really driven with suspicion. And so the ritual, I mean, the ritual represents a man and what a man thinks. But this idea of infidelity and how it can drive a person crazy, it's a very human theme. I mean, it doesn't just apply to men, it applies to women too. I mean, women can be just as suspect of their partner. And it also doesn't just apply to one gender. So this is a very universal theme. And in fact, just the fact that I was able to pull up 10 country music songs, well, not 10, I think I got eight. I was able to find eight country music songs that were basically right down the alley of what this theme is about. It kind of tells you that this is very human. This is a very human text. The Nazir text is a little bit more kind of an oddball text. The Nazir text has to do with making a vow. So, I mean, from my perspective as an atheist, you know, I, I mean, as a Jew, I can understand. Well, I don't really even understand why this is in the text here. I mean, as a Jew, I read this text every year. It's part of the Torah study. I wonder, why do we keep on reading this? Why don't we read something else? There's so much great feminist commentary on patriarchy that's been written by Jews and by all kinds of people. Why aren't we reading feminist commentary instead of this stuff? I mean, what is this about? I mean, I think that the reason that we read this over and over again is because there's still something fundamentally patriarchal about the tradition. I mean, the tradition is trying to liberalize itself a little bit, but it's still fundamentally very patriarchal. You know, I mean, I was thinking today about, oh, yeah, there was one thing I wanted to say. So I'm going to switch gears for a minute. So this Parsha is read in outside of Israel. This Parsha is read a week later than whatever they're reading in Israel right now. So, and that has to do with Shavuot. Shavuot happened last week. I had a great Shavuot, by the way. I went to two Shavuots because we actually have two nights of Shavuot here in the United States. Shavuot is I guess you could call it a festival. It's a holiday. It's a Jewish holiday, and it's supposed to represent when Moses received the Torah, or when the people of Israel received the Torah in Exodus. So it's a holiday celebrating that. But to me, I've always understood Shavuot as a harvest festival. Because my understanding is that in that part of the world, there's at least two harvest seasons, because the growing conditions are pretty good there. Although, when I think about it where I live, there's at least two harvest seasons too. There's really more than just two. Because you have where I live, in Oregon, we have kind of the winter harvest, which is like it never gets so cold that everything just completely freezes. I mean, it can get that cold, but generally it's cold weather crops in the winter here. I think kale, cabbage, broccoli, root vegetables. Those all do pretty good here in the wintertime. Beets even. They do grow, especially like kale and cabbage. Those do really well here. So you have kind of a harvest festival in the late winter, early spring. And then there's kind of a spring harvest. And then there's, like a summer harvest. So yeah, I guess I understand how there's more. Anyway, so Shavuot it's supposed to represent like at least one harvest cycle. Um, but what Jews do is we study Torah on Shavuot. The idea is that you're supposed to stay up all night studying Torah. And what synagogues that I know do is that they kind of make a night of it and they'll have like a bunch of classes you can take in the evening, if you want to try to stay up late. And after the advent of digital technology, now they do these online too. So I went to a really great Shavuot, the first night of Shavuot. It was organized by Rabbis for a Ceasefire. And it's basically rabbis, Jews, and other people who support the rights of the people of Palestine to um, self-determination and to peace and autonomy, um, and who are opposed to the genocide that's been happening against the people of Gaza. So they had every hour they had another workshop where they taught something that as it was related to Torah. And then the second night I did Judaism Unbound, which was really great. I've done that several years in a row. And that's all night kind of esoteric and fun lectures on Torah. So lots of really good stuff. Anyways, so because of Shavuot, what Jews do in diaspora, which is in America, what Jews do in America is they skip the Torah portion for that week because there's two nights of Shavuot, which is a lot. So they skip the Torah portion, and so they're kind of like behind by a week. And in Israel, they only have one night of Shavuot, and so they did the Torah portion Naso last week. So the United States and the rest of the world and Israel are kind of out of sync for about 5 weeks. And then they kind of get back in sync a little later on. But this really made me think of how Israel and the US are really out of sync in a really big way right now. I mean, from my perspective, as somebody who lives in quote unquote diaspora, who lives in the United States, and an anti-Zionist. I mean, what I see Israel doing right now is committing genocide. It's just, it's hard for me in any way to relate to this country that I'm looking at that is just being so barbaric and brutal toward the Palestinian people. I mean, I understand where it comes from because the things that they're doing are in the Torah. I mean, there's so many places in the Torah where, or in the Tanakh, maybe more in the Tanakh, where the kind of behavior that you're witnessing right now by the IDF and and the Israeli military are almost, parallels to things that you see in the Torah and in the Tanakh. I mean, this God that's in this story is sometimes just a horrible God. I mean, he's the Baal God. There's the God in the Torah is like a bunch of different gods. And one of them is the Baal God, is the war God. And it's just a terrible, terrible person, idea, not a person, just tendency. And I mean, that's what you're seeing right now. I mean, you're seeing this kind of supremacy, this supremacy that's happening that is like there is no consensus on how to peacefully deal with surrounding nations, or how to deal with what is basically your own internally displaced population of outsiders you consider outsiders. I mean, I have no words for what's happening, what's been happening for the last 2.5 years in Gaza. But this idea that the diaspora community is out of sync with Israel really hits home in a big way because there is a extreme dissonance, in my opinion, between how I see what's happening over there and how a lot of people over there see what's happening from their own perspective. And the fact that these Torah portions are out of sync really says a lot to me. So I wanted to say that. And regarding Sotah and Nazir and the whole Parsha of Naso, well, I mean, first of all, it's good to know. So Nazir definitely happened, but Sotah, to the best of our knowledge, never happened. This was not something that ever happened. It's just something that they wrote about in the text. And it's just a weird thing. What can I say? I mean, it's just, I don't know. I think that we could replace this with like almost anything, like almost any feminist Jewish text would be a perfect replacement for this. Like, or just anything. I mean, Sexual Politics by Kate Millett would be great. Let's just put that in there. Just any book that is a replacement for this ridiculousness. I mean, there's no reason that, even if you have a tradition, I mean, we have a tradition as Jews, we have a tradition, and I'm not sure why we read the Torah year after year. I mean, I understand the Torah is very elevated, it has a lot of meaning. And the reason that it has meaning is because, you know, it's it's like if it you need to have something to have a shared meaning for any kind of a group. Like as Americans, our shared meaning comes from our Constitution. And um Jews, their shared meaning comes from the Torah. But there's parts of the Torah that could be maybe replaced. I just, yeah, I think Sotah could. The other thing I wanted to say as an atheist about the about Sotah and about Nazir, but especially about Sotah, is that it relies on magic. It relies on this idea of magic. And there's this idea that there's some kind of magic process that happens here. And this idea of magic, this isn't the only place in the Torah where the idea of magic pops up. There's actually a lot of magic in the Torah. So in addition to the Sotah ritual, which describes magic really well, I mean, it's it describes magic in principle. There's also there's the time Moses throws down a staff and then becomes a snake. That's magic. And then there's the Egyptian magicians, and they're doing lots of magic. There's the Passover blood ritual where you put blood on the doorposts, and that's magic. There's Moses makes a bronze serpent, and people bitten by snakes look at it and they're healed. That's magic. Um, let's see, there's Jacob places peeled rods before mating livestock, believing this will influence the appearance of their offspring. Huh? And there's, ordination and purification rituals in Leviticus. Oh yeah, there's the scapegoat ritual, which is kind of magic in a way. There's the Urim and Thummim. That's definitely magic. Um, it's kind of interesting. So there's magic here. I mean, Jews at that time believed in magic, and magic was part of the Torah. It was there in the text. It informed these people, it informed their lives. I mean, as an atheist, I would ask myself, I mean, if these people believe in magic, then why do they, I mean, how can they believe in God? Because, their God is supposed to take care of everything. Why don't they just have God take care of it? Why do they need magic? You know, I mean, it kind of undermines the idea of their faith and their God. But, the way that I think about it more now is like, oh, well, they just want to hedge their bets. I mean, they want to believe in their God, but it doesn't hurt to know a little magic too. And in fact, maybe their God does magic too. Maybe their God also has magic tricks. So there's magic there. It's complicated. I don't know. I don't know. I was pretty excited about this Torah portion, but it doesn't it just doesn't have much to it. I mean, I have to admit, like there's a lot of stuff that I can pull out of these texts as humanist that are great, or there's things that I can like argue with. But like the Sota ritual here in this portion, it's just so over the top ridiculous. I mean, the Nazir ritual, it's a little bit more tame, but even the Nazir ritual, it's like, who cares? I don't know. I mean, I like my hair. I don't think I'm going to cut my hair. I'm not going to make a vow to God because I believe in God. So I don't know. Some weeks you have really great stuff to work with, and Parsha Naso, it's just so. There's just not that much to work with in this Parsha as an atheist. So I think that's about all I've got to say for tonight. Thanks for you've been listening to or watching Atheist Torah Study. So thanks again, and we'll be back next week. Take care.